Hello everyone. This is the 28th part of the story Game of Thrones, The Prideful One. Chapter 136. 1 week later. After training for a week and completely leveling the training grounds to a bulk of ashes and melted swords, I decided to take a quick break. With my fire working as it was right now, I didn't have much to train, besides working out ideas on how to use it properly. Well, that's it for me, I chuckled, rubbing my sore arm that Neltharion had hit with his tail. Got it. I will go and find new collectibles for my horde then. Neltharion nodded. Do you want me to fly you back to the castle? I thought about his proposition for a second, before deciding it would be best to walk back by myself. It's alright, go do your thing, I replied with a sigh. Got it. Neltharion nodded, and a few seconds later flew away into the horizon, making me wonder if he was scaring people by flying around the country. Well, I suppose there is no harm as long as he doesn't kill anyone. As I walked towards the castle, feeling pretty worn down, I couldn't help but smile. I had progressed more this last week with my fire than I did a few months ago. I was finally at peace with everything. Well, not everything, but that was about to change. I was confident I would find a way to defeat this monster once and for all. And with this tool, things were looking better for me, for I had learned to use fire beyond the capabilities I thought it had, for as it was capable of destroying, it was also capable of healing, being the reason why I had trained an entire week non-stop with Neltharion, learning that I could ignite a different type of flame that healed my wounds, leaving me with a refreshed feeling, though this power had a limit. I knew that lethal wounds were an impossibility when it came to healing them with this, but it was nice to know I could heal simply wounds and ease down the fatigue. Caw! I turned to the raven that was screaming with all its might, wondering what the hell had just happened. Is there something wrong? I inquired the raven as he flew towards me. Caw! My king, I'm from Nick Fury's squad. I was sent to the north to oversee the wall, and, caw! The others are approaching. 5 out of 6 in my squad were killed. The others are 2 weeks from the wall. The raven cawed in fear and agitation. So soon. Shit. Anything you can share about them? They have a dragon, caw, but it's different. It has almost no flesh, and it towers about your sons, caw. That thing is bigger than Neltharion, Crow and Regal together. The raven cawed in fear. A dragon? If it didn't have no flesh, it probably meant the dragon the Night King had died a long time ago beyond the wall. How did your squad die? The raven looked at me, before answering, fear and anger flashing on his tiny eyes. We were tasked to keep an eye for those monsters. CW, and out of nowhere as we were getting ready to pass this information, they started attacking us, undead birds everywhere. We had no choice but to follow the Corn protocol. The protocol? I inquired, trying to understand in full the situation. If death is unavoidable, one must survive at any cost, so that the information is passed. My brothers fought the undead abominations in the air, buying me enough time to fly away. The raven had by this point its feathers all ruffled up. Caw! I only survived because I was the fastest among my squad, and they picked me to escape just for that. I will not forget their sacrifice. Of that you have my word, I stated, animals or not, they were my people, my most loyal subjects, and I would avenge them. Caw! Those words. Thanks. The raven cawed, with newfound determination. I will let the Council of Animals know. And with that the raven flew away, leaving me with a ton of shit to process. I had 2 weeks to prepare. Well, let's see if I can keep my record. And stay undefeated, I muttered as I ran towards the castle. Council of Animals 1 hour after. Animals from different species sat or lay on a field close to the sea, waiting for the council and their representatives to arrive. For the ravens, there was Rhoda and Nick Fury. For the bears, Vladimir and Vodka. For the hawks, Tony Hawk and Petra Hawk. For the krakens, Bob the Kraken. And for the horses, Asmo and Hirsch. The situation is dire, Vodka growled in worry. The day we feared has come. We all knew this shit was coming, and now we have to face it, Nick Fury cawed for everyone to hear. Fear is the path to defeat, Rhoda added. We must use the islands as a safety haven for the non-combatants. The others have no krakens under their control. We still reign supreme on the water, Bob added, from the water. That's a good temporary solution to that problem, Asmonade agreeing with Bob. We must focus first on what to do. How can we help the Applebringer? Hirsch neighed with concern, stomping his hoof on the ground. We must act, and we must do it fast. Many of us will die, but we must stay strong. The founder of the council, the first of the Bipets, spoke. We must do what we have been doing these past years. We will fight for our king, and we will die, if necessary. It is our sworn duty to protect him and his family, and we will carry our sworn duty with honor, blood, and glory, the elder cawed, and soon enough every member of the council was stomping the ground in agreement. Daenerys' point of view. Ronard came to the castle, agitated, sweating not out of training but something else. He didn't even saw me as he ran past me. Something was on his mind, something bad, and I feared for the worst. Ronard! I called out, stopping him. Sorry, I didn't see you there, Ronard muttered. We have to get ready, the others are already moving, we have no time to waste. The others? My fears were right. I will start retrieving all the weapons we have made, while you call the banners. I will. Ronard ran, leaving me with a lot running wild in my mind, but there was no time to focus on any of it. I had to act fast. I had to ensure everything went as smoothly as possible for the upcoming battle. Jeor Mormont point of view. Time was something I had experienced. I had seen dynasties being destroyed and new kings rising. I had seen my family go from nothing to scum to royalty. My life was a full one. I had experienced everything one could ask for. Well, this is a nice vacation without people, I chuckled, my last few days of this world, and I was happy. Happy that my demise would help my grandson. Even if it was just a bit, even if I only killed a couple of those things. I would be already doing more than I could possibly achieve staying alive, though I wasn't dying alone. Eamon, the oldest member of the Watch, had decided to stay with me as well, for the same reason, to make his last few moments memorable like mine. We are relics of an old time, Eamon commented with a soft smile. I am glad that I get to go. Helping my family, our family. The world is pretty small, huh? A bear and a dragon, riding this world together, I chuckled. A truly magnificent sight. Eamon smiled. Chapter 137. Moving my army in such a short notice was a hard task, but one that I would complete no matter what. Sending my ravens to each one of the houses, I ordered the great and small houses to start calling their men, for the last war was looming above us. As for me, once I was ready sending my letters and letting Daenerys know of the situation, I left with Neltharion towards the wall. I had to stop or at least see what the enemy was planning. A dragon of such magnitude would prove to be a problem, but one that had a simple solution. I had to kill the bastard that controlled him and everything would be over. Though this was one of the scenarios that was easier said than done, approaching the king of any army was the end goal of almost all wars, meaning no matter who you were or what you were, the king was always the most protected piece in the game of war, be it by his skills or his people. The Night King was one that filled both categories. He was no doubt strong and had an army that protected him at any move. But that was simply the tip of the iceberg. The thing that made him dangerous was that his army and him were one, a singular force to be reckoned with, meaning the element of surprise was an impossibility with him as my enemy. But regardless of how impossible it was to kill the bastard, I had to do it. He was the Long Night. His demise was a necessity. I had to kill him one way or another. Fire was useless against him, that I had seen on the show. And so was Dragonglass, which only leaves one option, Valyrian Steel. Considering what I know about his original version, I'm the only one that can face him. But how? How can I fight him? Without his minions getting in my way. If I knew for certain that I was superior to him in every way, I would rush our duel, fighting him one-on-one. But with his new abilities being in the unknown for me, I had to be careful. If I rushed my hand and he proved to be at least an equal in combat, I would die. So I had to play this last game with the utmost care. A wise man once said, if you don't know the strengths and weaknesses of your enemy, always assume he's stronger than you. That way you can truly be prepared for anything he might throw at you. And by that principle I was going to act, assuming he was stronger, until I had the chance to actually prove that assumption. We are an hour away from the north, Neltharion hissed. If we encounter the enemy, don't fight. We don't know what to expect yet. Remember, he controls the dead. In the show, the Night King killed a dragon like it was a fly, and that was something I was not going to allow. My sons were going to survive this. I was going to make sure of that. Here I am, Nick Fury said, landing on my shoulder, surprisingly catching up with us. the first thing I noticed was that his claws were covered in a very rudimentary dragonglass claw glove and that he had some type of dagger hanging around his body. How did he do that? How did you get that? I pointed to his little feet. Some glue, patience, and a lot of time off. I don't care if I lose a leg. I will scratch some motherfucker death. Nick Fury cawed. How did you catch up with us anyway? I asked. Well, in reality, you two caught up with me. I was already on my way there. Nick Fury cawed. The animal council is moving as we speak. Ravens, bears. We are ready to die. We are using the dragonglass leftovers to equip ourselves, though. I stole this from the crazy-ass kid that you broke on the arena, he added, as he showed me the dagger, Valyrian steel. I will kill as many of those fuckers before I die. Don't go into battle with that mindset, I sighed. Why was everyone so ready to die? They should be trying to survive. Our main priority has always been you, your safety, and then your wife came, and well, nature took its course, and Alyssa and Gerald came into the picture. We always knew this day would come, the day where we would have to put our lives in the line, to give you a chance. And if the chance you need takes every single one of us, we will gladly burn in hell along that motherfucker. We will die for you if needed. We will disobey you if it means protecting you and your family. You are part of our flock. They are part of our flock. So be ready and focus on killing the bastard. We will help you with our lives. Nick Fury cawed, and his words once again struck some chords within me. I don't know what I did to deserve such loyalty, but I am eternally glad of it. I smiled. These ravens had been with me every step of the way. Without them, I would probably be lost. You treated us like equals. You valued our opinions. You didn't look down on us. And well, you gave us corn. Nick Fury cawed. Now you are tied to us, whether you like it or not. I don't. I smiled, wondering just how many of my loyal friends would die in this last war. Probably too many. One was too many. But I would make sure their sacrifices don't go in vain. I would win this war, no matter what. Ned Stark point of view. Jeor Mormont and Aemon Targaryen, the only two members of the Watch that volunteer to stay behind, with the intention to blow themselves along the wall up in a blazing inferno, with the intention of taking as many monsters with them as possible, an honorable sacrifice, that was unquestionable. But right now, it wasn't the time to mourn or admire them. Right now we had to use every asset in our hands to slow the horde and whatever made that roar as much as possible. The wall and the forest next to the wall were the main lines of defense. Wildfire was volatile, and any fire ignited with such substance could last hours, even in the harsh conditions of the north, and each second was precious. We needed to wait for Ronard. Without his help the north would fall within a fortnight of them crushing the wall down. Give every man able to fight a dragonglass weapon, I commanded my men, holding the ancestral sword of my family, ice, tight on my hands. Ronard had said Valyrian steel was their kryptonite, whatever that was. But his explanation explicitly said that Valyrian steel was a one-shot kill for them. No matter where you cut them, a single cut of ice would kill them. Prepare the next barrel of wildfire. We need more traps. If I see a white and he's not on fire, we are doing this wrong. Chapter 138. It took me a couple hours to arrive to where Ned Stark was, getting a closer update of the situation, and it seems the others were coming toward the wall as we speak. Ned also informed me he heard a powerful roar in the distance, a roar that could be heard miles away from the wall. I had to act fast. I had to stop them, so I had to organize the information I had. For one, they had a dragon, but for some reason the Night King had decided to march on the ground, meaning either he is confident in his victory, or the dragon is incapable of flying. If so, I had an advantage against him. I needed to see up close how strong was his army, to get a general idea of what to expect, on how to move. But the little I knew was not enough. My ravens had information about the army, but their information had a lot of blanks. I needed numbers, formations, and more. We need to scout his army, Nick Fury offered. And while tempting, the idea was absolutely out of the table. If the chance of survival was 1 out of 10, I didn't want to increase his power even more, but I still needed to know. Maybe I could wait for the Night King in the wall, that way I would get a better look. Of course, by all means, I had no intention of fighting the army alone. This plan was for me to simply get a peek at the enemy forces. After that I would fly with Neltharion out of the wall, with more information about what to expect. I will go to the wall, I decided, getting worried looks for everyone around me. You can't go alone. Ned Stark protested. I won't fight alone, rather. I won't fight at all, I sighed. I just want to get a general idea of what we are actually facing. Fighting the unknown is a double-edged sword. If our strategy is ill-suited for their power, we will lose. I knew that much. I won the crown because I was an unknown, a mystery. One that no one solved in time. It's still too risky. Ned Stark protested once again. If you die, humanity will fall right behind you. Fear, huh? I didn't expect to see him like this. I won't die, not right now, I said, realizing that this was the first time since I reincarnated that I was actually afraid of dying. Because it was a possibility. I can't change your mind, can I? Ned Stark muttered in defeat, with his head low. No, I shook my head. Then, I wish you the best, Ned smiled. Don't disappoint us now. He added. Have I ever? I chuckled. No, Ned sighed. No, you haven't. With my mind set on seeing his army, I flew with Neltharion to the wall. On the way, worry clouded my mind. I didn't have much of a plan. All I had was a goal, to kill the bastard, but without a plan, that seemed unlikely. But I was not about to give up, right now. I didn't know anything about the enemy, nothing about its power, military speaking. But once I got a general idea of what to expect, I would surely find a way to defeat the monster, ending this once and for all. We are close to the wall, Neltharion informed me. Good, I sighed, good. Three-eyed raven point of view. The time of reckoning was near, the last song was waiting to be played, and we all had to play our parts. Me included. Right now I was accompanying Leaf and the wildlings in my raven, while my body stayed on the sacred tree to observe the Night King. We have to move faster. We have to get to the wall, Leaf muttered, her magic being the sole reason we still were alive. We can't keep this shield any longer. We are a few days ahead of the Night King, and he no longer has an interest on us. Not since he found that old dragon, I sighed, as I ruffled my wings. We will get there. I know, but the sooner we get there the more time we will be able to buy Ronard, Leaf sighed. And what exactly do you plan to do to buy him more time? Tormund scoffed. I don't know if you saw, but that bastard has a monster for every pair of bare titties in the world. Bare titties? I plan to atone. We all do, Leaf answered, getting nods of confirmation from the few members of her species that remained. How? Ygritte asked. All magic comes from life. You can't create anything without giving anything in return. You have to give, to receive, unless the magic you have is a gift from the gods. Otherwise, you have to pay a price. Every time you use magic, Leaf answered, the bigger the sacrifice, the bigger the result. So, we will sacrifice all we have, our lives, to buy humanity some time. You plan on dying. How long? How long will you buy with your life? I inquired. Me? A week or two, Leaf answered. All of my people? A month, maybe a bit more. I can't really tell. The Night King is stronger, so in the end, I don't really know. I see, I nodded, my feather ruffling in concern. Is there any other way? No. I must atone for what I have done, Leaf smiled. If my death can change the tides of this war, even a bit, it will make all of this worth it. I see, we all must play our parts, we all must do our absolute best. If we want to win, I didn't want her to kill herself, but in the end, she was right, even a day was valuable right now. Is this Ronard that important? Ygritte inquired. Do you two really think you can stop that thing coming? I looked at the girl, who was trying with all her might to conceal her fear. All her life she had been fighting alone, to survive. She never showed weakness before, and was trying hard not to, right now. I can't really tell. I don't see the future, only the past and the present, I answered, but I can tell you that in all history, there has never been a man more capable of facing this. If he can't, humanity never stood a chance. Way to lighten up the mood, Tormund grumbled. Well, he better fucking win, or I'll kill him myself. All we can do is trust him, and help him every way we can, I added. I see, Ygritte sighed. Well, if I have to die, I'd rather die fighting. Me too, Tormund nodded. Then let's make haste. We can waste a second here. We must arrive at the wall as soon as possible, Leaf said, and once again everyone started marching. Let's go and meet the fucker. Tormund chuckled. Yes, let's, Ygritte nodded with a soft smile. Chapter 139. The wall was as deserted as I expected, with no one but the two lone souls that had decided to end their paths in a noble sacrifice. My grandfather, and Aemon Targaryen. Well, now all I had to do was wait, and see what I was facing, and then act accordingly. But for now, I had to find the last two members of this dying ship. Ronard. And as if on cue, Jeor Mormont came out of a tower, with a smile to greet me, giving me a fierce hug. To think my grandson would do so much, in so little time, you fill me with pride. I smiled at the old man. A pleasure to meet you, grandfather. Not that I'm not glad, but what are you doing here? Jeor inquired. Didn't Lord Stark tell you what we plan to do? I nodded. He did, but I need to see what I'm facing, otherwise, I'm fighting a shadow, with no idea what to expect. I then looked at the old man that happened to be my grandfather and asked, are you really sure you want to do this? We can explode this wall without you two here. Before my grandfather could answer, Aemon interrupted from afar, with a weak smile. I think I can answer that, he said, as he struggled to walk towards us, showing that his age had taxed him a lot. I looked at him, waiting for him to be close enough to answer, wondering why. Why were they so eager to throw their lives away? I just don't understand completely, at least. I'm old, my king, very old, Aemon sighed. When you are this old, you often spend half of night haunted with the ghosts of another lifetime, remembering times 50 years past as if they were yesterday. I have been ready to die for a long time. This just gives me an opportunity to make it meaningful. Jeor Mormont nodded. For me it's similar. My watch is coming to an end, and I'm happy to say, I don't have any regrets. You changed that. Meaningful words from a man I hadn't met till today, and somehow they made me feel better, but even more troubled to let them stay. I see. Then I shall respect your decision, but nonetheless, I would respect their choices, for very few men have the privilege of choosing how to go. Is it too much to ask if I asked you to show me one of your dragons? Aemon inquired. Let me call him, I smiled, as I whistled calling my son to come. Seconds later, Neltharion landed on the wall with the utmost care. This old guy smells like a dragon. He isn't away, I chuckled. Remarkable, you can communicate with him, and he understands you. Truly remarkable, Aemon smiled, as he caressed one of Neltharion's claws. All my life I wanted to see one. You made an old man happy. Now I can die knowing my family lives on, and that dragons actually exist. Truly this last week has been one of the best in my life. I'm glad, I smiled. He smells like death. Neltharion hissed. He does, I nodded. Well, make yourself at home. We don't have much, but it will do. Jeor offered, but before I was able to answer, Neltharion hissed an alert. Someone was here. I smell people, they smell alive, Neltharion hissed. We have company, are we expecting anyone? I asked the veterans. No, they both answered in one voice. Then, let's see who's knocking. I smiled as I followed Neltharion close behind, leaving the two old men behind. Knocking? Aemon muttered. It must be a saying, or an inside joke. Lord Stark said Ronard loves those. Jeor shrugged. The sad things about being old, Aemon sighed. I flew with Neltharion to the door, where the unexpected visitors were trying to get in. From the skies, I was able to see around 500 to 1,000 people, all together in one place, survivors. I did not expect that. It was hard, a raven said, flying beside me. I suppose. Wait a fucking second. There's only one raven in my army that can talk, and that is Nick Fury, the three-eyed raven, I suppose. A pleasure to finally meet you. The three-eyed raven nodded. So, is this all that remains from the wildings? I inquired. Yes, 862 people, not a lot, but considering what we were facing, it's a remarkable number, the three-eyed raven answered. Remarkable indeed, I nodded, as I ordered Neltharion to descend into the group. A dragon. I bet the fucking chosen one is riding it, a man grumbled as I descended with Neltharion. Good, make an enemy of the man riding a dragon. If you want to die, please do so yourself, Tormund, a young woman reprimanded. Oi, piss off, Ygritte, Tormund growled. Make me, Ygritte challenged. We finally meet. Anger sparked inside of me, like a fire that was starting to spread within my soul, a raging fire. You see, normally in things like this, You don't get to see and meet the person responsible for all the shit you are going through. I mean, in most stories those fuckers die, or are simply out of reach. Yet, in front of me, was the person responsible for creating the biggest abomination this world has seen, Leaf and her people. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't kill you? I asked with a cold tone, as Neltharion roared to accentuate my threat. I don't have any. Leaf answered without skipping a beat. I know I can never atone for what I did, but I can buy you some time, at least that way, my death will mean something. Heck, fuck off, she has helped way more than you. Tormund growled, holding his axe ready to strike me down if needed. While you fucked your wife, and enjoyed the good life, she helped us, so fuck off. I looked at him for a second, before I started to laugh, at the irony of the situation, protecting the person responsible for the death of your comrades. I find this oddly entertaining. Is riding that dragon hurting your head or something? Tormund barked, the one that killed my people is the Night King. I smiled as I pointed at Leaf, and who do you think created the Night King? Tormund looked at me, and then to Leaf, doing the same motion for a couple of times, before he exploded in anger. I will kill you, bitch. As amusing as it was to see Leaf ready to accept her fate, I couldn't let her die. If she had a way to buy me time, her existence was still worth keeping. Sorry, but she gets to live. For now, I said as I knocked Tormund out cold with a kick to his guts. Good call, Ygritte sighed. After all, she said she had a way to buy you time. It would be a shame to kill her now. Huh, the young lady was quite smart. Yes, she did. I nodded as I gazed at the subject in question. Chapter 140. Leaf's plan was quite straightforward. She and the few remaining of her people would use their lives to strengthen the wall, giving me a month or so at much plan. That would give you the time to better prepare, Leaf said, as she ended the explanation of her plan. I see, I narrowed my eyes. So I have 1 month? Maybe a bit more, but I can't say. Leaf answered. Very well, kill yourself. I was angry, for the sheer stupidity she had to create a weapon with so many windows for failure. How in the 7 hells didn't she all the downsides of creating a fucking lich? How stupid you have to be, to not see how bad that was going to backfire. A bit harsh on her, don't you think? The three-eyed raven stated. If you think that's harsh, our definition of harsh is vastly different. I rolled my eyes at the raven. She was young, and wanted to protect her people. The three-eyed raven added. Being young does not give you a free pass to screw the world. Even a blind man would have been able to see how bad that idea was. I replied. I suppose then you haven't made a mistake you regret then? The three-eyed raven shot back. Oh yeah, how could I forget? After this I have to fight the 8 Night Kings I made. I shot back with a scoff. At least my mistakes will not haunt the world to the point we are facing an extinction-level threat. So please do shut up, I sighed. Very well, the three-eyed raven nodded. I will keep an eye for the Night King. How far is he? I asked. A week. If he keeps slowing down, maybe more, the three-eyed raven answered. Very well, I nodded. The more the bastard took to get here, the better it was for me. Melisandre point of view. The fire. Last night it showed me a vision, a terrifying vision, a fight between Ronard, my light, and the monster lurking in the shadows, the Night King. The fight was like a blur of motions, and everything was from Ronard's perspective. I saw him fighting, in some sort of duel, and for the first time, I saw him struggling to keep up the pace, avoiding multiple attacks from all directions as he didn't manage to connect a single attack, cornered, fighting the monster alone, and in the middle of the battle, Ronard was struck down. I couldn't see if he died or not. The vision stopped the moment the Night King cut him down. From what I was able to gather from that vision, Ronard wasn't able to land a single hit on the monster. It was as if the monster had no blind spots. But none of this made any sense. Why would Ronard go and fight the monster alone? It was uncharacteristic of him. Yes, he was reckless, but because he knew no one was a match for him. But the Night King, he was an unknown. I was afraid the vision ended because he died with that cut the Night King gave him. But that also didn't make any sense. My lord would never choose a champion if said champion was destined to lose. Perhaps, this was the way the mighty lord had to warn. I had to stop Ronard from dueling the beast. I won't let you die, no matter what. I was not going to let him die, no matter what. We are 2 weeks away from the north, Jon Targaryen stated. I would recommend all of you to wear something warm, winter and harsh. No need, I sighed. The fire is all the warmth I need. Daenerys' point of view. It would take 3 months to move every single banner to the north, but we didn't have that time, so I took the decision of moving with around 70% of the army to the north, and while I knew Ronard would be mad seeing me there, I had to, even if it was just to kiss him goodbye. My queen, someone called outside my carriage. Melisandre wants to talk to you. The Red Witch, Ronard said she was useful but dangerous, that I had to be careful around her. Let her in. My queen, Melisandre bowed inside the carriage. Do you need something? I asked, wondering what was so important that it couldn't wait till later. I'm sure you are aware of my rare gifts. Melisandre started. Well, one of those gifts is seeing parts of the future, parts the Lord of Light allows me to see. A cold feeling started to spread through my body, shivers running down my spine. As my body went cold, what did you see? Had Ronard died? No, he couldn't. He promised, and he never breaks his word, not to me. Ronard will somehow end in a duel with the Night King, and I'm not sure if he survives or not. You must stop him. You are the only one with enough pull to do so, Melisandre stated. In my vision he was losing, and it was by a lot, outclassed. It was terrifying. Ronard outclassed? That is impossible. He was the best at what he did, unbeatable, unstoppable. Was the Night King that strong? I inquired. I can't tell. The fire showed Ronard fighting the Night King one-on-one. The Night King had his army behind him, but they didn't intervene, and Ronard just couldn't seem to hit him. Even without looking, the Night King was able to effortlessly dodge his attacks. I don't know how. I see. I was gasping for air at this point. I didn't want to lose him. I wasn't ready to live without him. I don't think their power is too far apart. In reality, I think they are somewhat evenly matched, but the Night King has something that gave him the edge on that duel, and I don't know what. Melisandre stated. How are you so sure? I asked. They both represent the two sides of a coin. This disparity is not something my lord would allow. Melisandre answered. And I hoped with all my heart, she was right. Author note with some clarification. The vision Melisandre had depicted Ronard losing, and I will clarify it because for this, my dear, you will need to use your heads to solve. Ronard didn't lose the duel in the vision because he was outclassed, nor because the Night King is stronger than him. The reason why Ronard lost is connected to Night King minions. I know some will solve that soon, if not wait for the duel. Dear author, why are you clarifying? Well, because after the last non-conventional route I took and the reactions I got, I decided to give clues. Want another clue? Well, okay. Here it goes. Ronard will be in a world of pain. He will know pain. He will experience pain. So there you go. If that doesn't solve this, nothing will. And before your ass jumps to pain, is not related to him in the way you think. This marks the end of part 28 of the story Game of Thrones, The Prideful One. Thank you for listening. Please like the video and hit the subscribe button to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.